Hey, stand by for my new review of the film Hell or High Water in just a moment. I just got back from seeing Hell or High Water. This is a new movie by director David Mackenzie and based on a screenplay by Taylor Sheridan and starring Jeff Bridges, Chris Pine, and Ben Foster. This was an amazing movie. I mean, I was absolutely blown away by it, and apparently other critical response on, Rotten Tomatoes, this thing is getting super high marks, and deservedly so. This is not just a movie about a couple guys who are going on a crime spree or running around robbing banks. This is not an action movie, although there is plenty of action in this movie. This movie is in the grand tradition, really, of acting movies, like real, grab you at the beginning with solid performances by every single one of the players. And it just keeps you going through this entire narrative of setup with these two brothers who are, from the very first shot, are robbing banks, and you don't really know why or what their motivation is or what's going on, and then moves through into the conflict of the Texas Rangers. This is all supposed to happen in Texas, even though the film was actually shot totally in New Mexico, which surprised me. I found that out after I saw the movie. But anyway, moves through with these Texas Rangers, Jeff Bridges, following them and trying to track them down, and then of course moving into the resolution and the third act. And the motivations for these characters and for all of them are all good. This is one of those movies where it's not about good guys and bad guys. This is just a movie about people, about just guys. And that's what makes it so piercing. That's what makes the performances, it's not obvious to you while you're watching it where your sympathies are supposed to lie. This isn't the protagonist versus antagonist sort of thing, even though it is. I mean, there are these two guys are clearly violating the law and running around doing what they're doing. But when you find out why, and you find out what's going on behind the scenes, and that's really where things in the second act start moving into very big statements about current situations going on in the United States, and there are historical references made, and there's a historical perspective on this that there's some very surprising lines that just kind of come out of nowhere in some of the scenes between the Texas Rangers talking or between the two brothers talking, where it really hits you in the gut that right and wrong are very relative terms in a number of ways when it comes to people's lives and the situations they have to deal with and how they choose to deal with those situations. And that's what you see play out in this movie. I cannot say enough about the quality of the acting. Chris Pine, who, everybody knows from Star Trek or other action movies, has not really had to come to work too hard in those movies when it comes to actual raw acting. Well, he definitely brought it this time, as did Ben Foster. They're the ones who play the brothers. Jeff Bridges also, of course, when he wants to, can really bring it, and he does in this one, in a role very reminiscent of Tommy Lee Jones from No Country for Old Men. This old, retiring, cantankerous, sort of curmudgeon-y sort of guy who also can be very, very serious and very steely, and that's and that of course comes out during the course of the movie. I'm not going to give any spoilers on this at all because I really want you guys to see this movie. The direction, cinematography, the pacing, the way the scenes were the frames and the way everything was laid out was really, really top notch. Director David Mackenzie is somebody, he's an indie film director, and I think he's got something like 9 films under his belt or something. He's been around for quite a while. I think he's been making films for something like 12 years, mostly in the indie world. He's an Irish director, and I have never seen anything he's made before until now. But I was very, very impressed. He is not an American filmmaker, and yet in this movie, he very much captures a lot of the spirit and problems with things in America right now. And again, like I said, gives some of these surprising little snippets of historical perspective that really just kind of really take you by surprise and throw you off a little bit, really get you thinking. And that, of course, goes back to the screenplay as well. The screenplay for this movie was actually the winner of the 2012 Blacklist Award, which basically means it was the voted the most liked screenplay for 2012. So this finally got picked up and made, and it is an amazing script. The words that are used, the way they're just perfectly chosen, and all of the different characters and their backgrounds and motivations, all totally, completely believable. There is no one in this movie who is a caricature or a stereotype at all. And there is nothing about this movie that strains your credulity or makes you think, whoa, that's just too coincidental, or that doesn't really make sense. It all makes sense. So, I have to give this movie a rating of totally awesome. And I very, very, very much recommend you see it while it's still out there to be seen. This is not blockbuster material. It is probably not going to be in the theaters for a long time, but it deserves to be seen on a big screen simply for the beautiful cinematography. You definitely believe, although the whole thing was shot in New Mexico, they give it this Texas twist. I mean, I've been in both states, and this definitely played out like Texas. Especially all the background characters, the color and the life that's given to this story and this script has everything to do not just with the principal actors, but everybody who appears in this movie brings something to it that contributes to the style and the layout of this thing. So again, absolutely recommend you see it, and there you go. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.